clowns sell out their country and the people's natural resources to rapacious multinational oil companies. These oil company executives
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burbies 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio for Thursday, June 9th, 2022. I'm Kevin Smith. The government of Guyana has missed an opportunity in keeping with the law to secure better terms for its people by failing to exploit the renewal of the Liza 1 permit. This is according to the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton. Norton was also keen to note that while he believes in the sanctity of contracts, the Liza 1 permit could have been used to rake in a better deal without touching the PSA government signed in 2016 with the oil company. The Liza 1 permit, the first project to be approved for ESSO, was renewed after expiring on May 31st. Meanwhile, a 44-year-old woman has been forced to abandon the comfort of her own home and is now living in her car in order to avoid being attacked and possibly killed by an ex-lover who has been repeatedly assaulting her over the last 3 years. Described as a vicious abuser, the ex-lover Isan Lawrence is a former murder accused who was released from prison in 2019 after a high court jury found him not guilty of the offense. He has been reportedly tormenting and physically abusing Sharon Codrington, the 44-year-old woman whose home is located at Vredenhoop, West Coast, Demerara. She had managed to get a restraining order against him, but on Friday last, Lawrence proved that a court order was not going to stop him from stalking the woman and showing up at her home to beat her. Region 3 Police Commander Mahendra Sunarayan revealed that bail is always granted and that the only thing his ranks can do is try to prevent another attack. Meanwhile, detectives on the east coast of Demerara have managed to arrest 3 suspects accused of invading a birthday party on Wednesday and emptying the pockets and bags of 8 prominent businessmen. The businessmen were robbed of millions in cash, cellular phones, and expensive jewelry. Police stated that the armed robbery took place around 1 hour 30 at one of the businessmen's houses at 4th Street, LBI, East Coast, Demerara. Those in attendance at the party recall that 4 men armed with handguns stormed into the house through a back door that was left open. They were all held at gunpoint. And moving on, the government is using a consultant, Michael Porter, that was foisted on it by Stabroek Block operator and partner Hess Corporation to develop a country plan. Additionally, the PPP administration is in fact encouraging the accelerated development of the oil resources offshore under the same provisions of the production sharing agreement, since it is a country where contract sanctity is honored. These were among the views expressed by Hess Corporation CEO John Hess. According to Hess, Guyana is a jurisdiction where contract sanctity is honored, and the companies are in fact responding to the desires of the administration, forging ahead with the oil operations ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, the discovery and production of hydrocarbons, crude oil, and associated gases have over the past 100 years transformed the global landscape to the benefit and prosperity of some and the detriment of others. Oil companies over the past century have, across the globe, in their quest for black gold, exploited numerous countries of this precious resource, literally plundering nations while pauperizing its citizens further. 2 weeks ago, Extinction Rebellion staged a protest at the Mayfair Hotel in London, where an African oil conference was being hosted, and demanded an end to the exploitation of Africa and an end to the oil colonialism in the continent. During that activity, testimonials were aired, speaking to the destruction and decimation of livelihoods being perpetrated, with one such focusing specifically on Uganda by one of the oil companies there, Total, which also operates in Guyana. Speaking to just one of the hundreds of operations there, it was pointed out by a citizen of Uganda that up to 10 districts had been affected, with people's livelihoods lost, to the point where houses are now falling apart. School children have had to drop out, and the schools are now shuttered. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 15. We'll take a short break and return with more news.
Experience more than award-winning speed. Way more. Get the best that LTE has to offer on Digicel, officially the fastest mobile network in Guyana. Ookla, the company behind Speedtest, recognizes Digicel as the best mobile network in Guyana. With the best LTE experience and the fastest data speeds, experience it all with Digicel. Better together.
This is GHK Lal, inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues, immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Guyana is now a full-fledged oil-producing nation. But how much do you know about this valuable yet finite resource? On our radio program, Guyana's Oil and You, we strike at the heart of every issue with informed views and credible data. The time is now for you to arm yourself with insightful knowledge on your oil wealth.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. The PPPC government has begun to dole out portions of a massive $5 billion sum budgeted for cost of living relief. However, the way the government continues to hand out the money has come into question. Former Finance Minister Winston Jordan believes that the manner in which the money was passed in Parliament does not coincide with the law's intention on transparency. Jordan is adamant that the law does not permit the budgeting and passing of any block sum for which its purpose or spending is to be determined at a later date. Even as the sum is being utilized to support citizens through this rough financial period, Jordan insists that the information is too vague, as government spending should be transparent, especially with such a large sum of money. He warned the opposition to pay more attention to government spending and urged that, in this case, a motion be moved in Parliament for government to come back to the House and clearly define its plans for the $5 billion. And moving on, the government of Guyana has approached the Inter-American Development Bank for a $100 million loan to upgrade the East Bank Demerara Road between Grove and Temeri. The Ministry of Public Works said it was seeking consultants for the project, which would serve as the engineer for the design and build works. According to the document, the loan is being requested through the IDB's program to support climate-resilient infrastructure development. Under this venture, the government said it will be looking to improve road safety and rideability, improve utility networks where necessary, improve pedestrian infrastructure, address climate adaptation and mitigation measures while reducing congestion and delays faced by commuters traversing along the corridor. Meanwhile, the recently renewed LISA 1 permit has included a number of stipulations to be followed in terms of workers' occupational and safety rights, significantly more than what was provided in the old operating permit. But local labor unions are questioning the manner in which monitoring of those rights is being conducted, as workers continue to complain about poor treatment within the sector. The unions have highlighted a number of grave issues plaguing Guyanese within the new oil and gas industry, and are calling for better monitoring of the sector to protect Guyanese workers. GAU General Secretary Aslam Singh said that a lot of what the new permit speaks about regarding the occupational safety and health is already a requirement of the OSH Act. In other news, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation in Guyana has reason to believe that Venezuela is engaged in an effort to delay the judgment of the International Court of Justice on the merit of the border case. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs disclosed that it received a letter from the registrar of the ICJ advising that the government of Venezuela has submitted preliminary objections to the admissibility of the case before the court regarding the arbitral award of October 3, 1899, Guyana versus Venezuela. The ministry said it recognizes that the rules of procedure of the ICJ allow for such an objection to be lodged and considered by the court, and that, as a consequence, the proceedings on the merits of the case are suspended until the court rules on the preliminary objections. And now let's tell you, Justice Sandil Kusun at the Berbice High Court on Wednesday handed down 2 death sentences, 2 life sentences, and a 17-year sentence to the 5 men who were found guilty of murdering 36-year-old Danian Anthony Jagdeo, a phone card vendor of Williamsburg, Quarantine. Those jailed are 22-year-old Mark Duman, Abdul Salam Azimullah, called Seto, Shuman Batsun, and 19-year-old Satish Budram, all of Hampshire, and Zahir Abdullah, called Goldteeth, of Adelphi, East Kanji. Duman and Azimullah received death sentences. Zahir and Batsun received life sentences, while Budram was sentenced to 17 years in prison. Notably, Zahir and Batsun are eligible for parole after 35 years. According to reports, Jagdeo, called Damien, a father of 4, was shot dead around 15 hours 30 on February 5, 2017, while distributing phone cards in Adventure Village, Quarantine, Berbice. And moving on, the Ministry of Health on Wednesday reported that a 71-year-old man from Region 6 who contracted COVID-19 has died. The man, who was fully vaccinated and inoculated with a booster shot, died on May 27th last while receiving treatment at a medical facility. As a result of this, the country's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 1,239. The ministry continues to record an increase in cases. According to the data provided, within the last assessed 24-hour period, 138 new infections were recorded. And of course, as usual, we wrap things up with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. Our young president has taken on the role of positioning Guyana to become the food basket of the region. Food security has become the talk of the day, with measures being taken to improve transportation and remove barriers to trade between Caribbean states. In our own country, people are starving. Our school children are being forced to eat shine rice, a meal with little nutritional value. But the focus of our leaders is elsewhere. There is a popular saying that you shouldn't hang your hat where your hands can't reach. For those who don't understand, it simply means to do only which you are able. We must get this right. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise